Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. Want to talk a little bit more on gold, just gold really. It's funny, yesterday I went to Mexico, and the guy I was with, it was a rich guy, and we went to a place. It was an upscale shopping kind of place, and he bought some stuff, and he wanted to pay for it in US dollars, and this is in Mexico. And so the thing is, and this is where I have problems, and that is when it comes to using US dollars. In some places they get real particular about the money, the US dollars that they take in. And the thing is, if there's a little mark on it, if there's a crack, a little tear in the money, if it's been folded, there's a crease mark, any of these things, a lot of times they won't accept that money. And so I even have $100 bills that I got stashed for emergencies. When you ever have an emergency, you got this money. Okay, and I have that, but like I say, a lot of times it's not any good. They won't accept it because, like I say, it's not in perfect shape. And but it made me start thinking, because at the time he was having problems, and I told him, well, I've got some $100 bills too, and so I got my $100 bills out, and then we went through all these $100 bills, and he ended up spending $300. And we went through all these $100 bills. And now, see, I also, when I carry greenbacks, I carry ones, fives, tens, 20s, 50s, and hundreds. I don't carry all of the same things. And so we went through all of his hundreds and all of my hundreds, and they found two that they would take. And then, we got into my 50s and started going through my 50s, and I don't know how many 50s I had, but they found a couple of them there that they would accept. And so in other words, the using greenbacks has its limitations now. Now, and it's funny because there's times when it's easier to use the greenbacks and harder to use the greenbacks. But what was funny is one of the reasons why they did accept all that is I asked them if they would take gold, and I knew they wouldn't. I mean, most people don't know how to use gold, and they look at it as some kind of value. They want to put a dollar amount value on the gold. And what have I always talked about? Gold is worth. It's not, you don't put a dollar value on it. And when you put a dollar value on it, you can do that. There's people that do that. And then it's for an investment. They're using it for an investment. What I talk about is I'm using it for worth. So you always have some kind of financial worth. I don't care what country you're in, and there's always going to be some kind of worth. All right. No más Camaros. Okay. there's always going to be some kind of worth, and so that's why I have gold with me. I have a little bit of silver, but most of the time I have gold. And most of the time, like in that particular situation, I used it more for impressive kind of stuff. In other words, I knew they weren't going to, because nobody knows the value. They want to put the value on it. So I knew that wasn't going to work for that. But when I pulled that out and they held it with their hands, they could see it, they could feel the gold. And to some of them, that was the first time they've ever seen gold. And then be able to touch it, was just, mind-boggling to them. So it was funny because that opened the door with, well, even though our greenbacks weren't quite right, it still had some value, and they took the greenbacks. And the funny thing was, and that was the first time my friend saw me use gold. He knows I have it. He knows I use it, but he's never seen me stand right there and see me use it. And to see it used like that, first time he's ever seen it. With all the money he's got, he doesn't know how gold and silver is used. So he saw it used. And then I told him, I said, because like I said, I don't use money, so I don't have money. I don't have any money. And because I don't use it, I don't need it. But there are times when I need money. And I told him, I said, do you realize I've never asked you for any money? And he goes, well, yeah. And I told him, well, the reason is I don't need to ask you is because I have other friends that I can ask for money, and they're more than happy to give me money. And he's still in the money mind. And so he says, well, what would make them so generous? And I say, well, the first thing is they're holding a lot of my gold. So, I don't, in the way of dollars, I don't know how many dollars it is, but I know there's worth there. And the ones that are holding it, they know there's worth there. So if I need money, all I got to do is just email them, call them, or send smoke signals or whatever. And that's one good thing about the modern age is they'll put it in my debit account. And then all I do is put my ATM card in, and then bam, I got instant money. So there's no problem about money, and why? It's because of the worth of gold. And like I told him, I said, this is what I do. I have my friends hold my gold, and my friends will give me money whenever I need money. And if I was to die, my friends keep my gold. So there are advantages in being a good friend. And it's a lot of times people don't realize all of the advantages there are. And like I told him, I really want to give him some gold and hold some gold, and this way I can get my money quicker. Now I got to wait maybe a few hours to get the money, and then with him I'll be able to get it pretty much instantly. And I've been thinking about it, and that's what I told him. I thought about bringing more gold and silver down here and have him hang on to it, and then I would have access to his money. So it was funny. That's all I'm telling you, is just the worth, the true value, the true worth of gold and silver is not always that apparent until you see it in action. And when you see it in action, it's cool. But you have to have it before that'll be an option. This is Mike, NoStressMike.com.